came home because I had to go to I have my solid core class tonight. Then I have to go grocery shopping and stuff. But anyways, I just got through watching some of Bad Bunny's what's it called halftime performance and stuff, and I'm sitting here like, I saw this day coming. I really saw this day coming, and I'm like, if people don't see this, first of all, here are my thoughts, right? In no particular order, but here are my thoughts. Okay, number one, all of this, I blame Colin Kaepernick. I really blame Colin Kaepernick for all of this mess. I really, really do. Hey, people, me, what's up, bro? You know, when Colin Kaepernick started his stuff, like bent the knee and stuff like that, protesting police brutality and stuff, I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, oh, these white people are so racist. Hey, Gigi, these white folks are so racist because why are they upset with the man bending the knee right against police brutality, right? Because at one point I was woke. I ain't gonna lie, I was woke. I was in my feelings. I was like super blackety black black, right? So I was like really really upset about that. But one day I thought about it, right? I thought about it. I said to myself, I kind of agree with the NFL and all the owners that football is not a place for politics, right? Because yeah, when it's an issue that concerns you, of course, you want everybody to care because you're thinking about, okay, I'm hurting. This bothers me. Police brutality. And plus, at that time, too, like we were really led to believe that, there was a real crisis with police officers just shooting up black people. Right now, we are somewhat removed from that. And we know that the stats, right? We know that the stats do not corroborate the fact that we have an epidemic with police brutality and police officers out here just shooting black people. Like that's not the case. But every time there's an election, though, right, they would make it seem like black people just getting snatched up and killed by police officers. So at that time, I was like, yeah, bend the knee and let the world know that in America, black people get murdered by police left and right. But one day, when I calmed down, I had to rethink of myself, like, okay, because one thing I've realized in America is that black people, especially black Americans, they can never have anything to themselves. So it's like, for example, you start the civil rights movement, and then eventually it turns into, oh, what about the gays? What about the trans? What about the homosexuals? It's like, what about, right? It's like this the way in my mind, that is just my mind. If you're offended, that's fine. But in my mind, I always feel like the hard work, the not so pretty work, the brutal work, the work that gets you beat up by police, dragged into a police station, mauled, abused by dogs, lynched, right? I feel like the hard work is always done by like black Americans. And then once that work is done, here comes the what about me community. Okay. What about me as a homosexual? What about me as a transsexual? What about me as a queer? What about me as an illegal immigrant? Right. And I feel like many times for a lot of people, it gives off this vibe of like, well, if you did it for the blacks, you should do it for me. It's like, hold up, wait a minute. Okay, hold up, wait a minute. So I said, okay, if we allow Colin Kaepernick to carry on with bend the knee like this, right? Eventually, it's going to turn into, oh, the gays of the NFL want to bend the knee. Then it's going to turn into the trans of the NFL want to bend the knee. Today, it has turned into the illegal immigrants want to bend the knee. You get me, right? Hopefully you understand me, right? And which is why sometimes I'm like, yeah, be careful what you fight for because eventually, right? Eventually, your movement is going to get hijacked by other people. But I've said this for years. I've said this since I lived in New Orleans. I said, me, Marlene, I see the rise of the Latinos in America, right? Number one. Number two, I see Democrats changing up, like switching up to like, okay, at one point we were taking advantage of black people to get things done or to get our way done in America, but now they're no longer of service. So they're gonna move to the Latinos. You understand? My only thing that makes me so sad is that black people in America never see that they don't see where shit is heading. I don't know how to explain. I'm like, you can't be this oblivious, but they are truly oblivious. They are seriously oblivious because sometimes the problem is people are so busy being petty and trying to go tit for tat with white people that they don't realize the bigger picture. You understand? When you look at the crime bill or you look at a lot of legislation that a lot of Democrats actually have passed to lock up black Americans, did white Americans ever come outside, fight police officers, throw their bodies out here, cry for all the black American children who would lose their dad because he sold 5 grams of crack? He sold 5 grams of the marijuana, and then I've never seen this, right? I moved to this country in 96. I was like 11 years old in 96, right? I'm currently 41 years old. I have never seen in all the decades I have lived in America a time where white Americans were fighting police officers to make sure that black American fathers were not getting locked up for life for petty crimes. You know what I'm saying? Like goofy ass petty crimes. The crime bill ruined so many lives. It's not just the black men who got arrested, it's their children that never had a father. It's the Hey Sunshine. It's the black American woman who didn't have a father in the home. I mean, the utter devastation, right, of the crime bill, the criminal legislation being tough on crime. If you live in America, I mean, if you're born here, you should know this. But if you've been here for a long time as an immigrant, right, you know that America is built on anybody who wants to win an election. You got to be quote unquote tough on crime, which means lock up as many black people that you can. And number two, you got to be about some kind of war. Go kill some Muslims somewhere. Go kill some Arabs somewhere, right? And for as long as I've lived here, I have never seen so much benevolence. I have never seen white Americans risk their lives, try to fight the police, try to fight the feds, try to fight the what's it called, DEA? What's it called? The people that do the drugs? DEA, yeah. I have never seen that. I have never seen that. But for illegal immigration, which is mostly the vast majority of illegal immigration in America, is Latinos. It is Latinos. It's not Chinese. It is not Arab, right? Because Latin America is right here. First of all, Mexico is still North America, right? Latin America is right down here. So who has the easier access to cross the border? For who is it more easier to cross the border? It's for Latinos. It's from people from Latin America. People are not risking their lives from China, from Africa, from Europe, whatever, to cross the border. No, it's mostly Latinos. So today, to make sure Latinos are staying here in America, it's even if you come here legally, it's really not a crime. It's just like it's civil. What's it called? An act of civil disobedience. You're not breaking any laws. It's just a civil crime. It's just I'm like I've never heard this before, right? I have never heard this before. Where people are told, and people are even encouraged to break American law to come to America. I have never seen this before. Like I am seeing white people die. I am seeing white people risk their lives, right? Because this is how badly they want to fight for illegal immigration. This is how badly they want to fight for Latinos to be in America without papers, right? I saw a white girl yesterday. She's a nurse. I'm like, okay, so you're really about to lose your job. This nurse was here telling people to poison ICE agents. I'm like, you want to poison federal enforcement? Like, you encouraging people to poison law and order? Are you actually okay? But I'm like, since when? I really want to know. Like, since when did white people, like especially white liberals, hey Kevin, since when did white liberals start caring so much about the human rights of those who come here legally, those who are arrested? I don't know, because I'm like, African Americans are your fellow Americans, and for as long as they lived here, you've never gone as crazy to fight for their civil rights. You understand? It's really weird to me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I know what is going on. Is that they want to make Latinos the next class of preferred minorities, right? And I think the election about Trump showcased a lot. Not even just the whole Trump thing, right? But even the election with Zoran Madani in New York City, right? It showcased a lot. And Kevin is here, so Kevin will tell you because Kevin's the pastor over here. But Kevin will tell you, right? We are sitting here in 2026 in 4K 1080p, you guys, and I promise you, you are witnessing the erasure of African Americans. Like it's not a joke. I've told y'all this. I said in Chicago, they're going to remove Black Americans from their homes and they're going to put Latinos in these houses. Please write this down. So the day it happens, you can be like, oh, Marlene told me. I told y'all this. I said this guy, Mayor Johnson, he's up to no good. He is truly up to no good. Because, and I'm like, we don't even know. We don't even know who really is behind this man. We don't even know who truly, hey, Quee, we don't even know who truly funded this man to run for mayor. But you see, they have brainwashed Black Americans out here so badly into believing that anybody that shows up with a black skin Anybody that used to be an activist, it's weird. They're all activists. Even Obama was an activist. It is so weird. They're always activists. They're always black. Oh, I'm here for the black people. I'm going to tax the rich. I'm going to punish white people. And then black people here just eat that stuff up. Eat that stuff up. And don't even question. I told y'all this before, right? The mere fact, hey Tracy, the mere fact that look at, when Barack Obama came on the scene, I was in college, right? I was in college. Okay. So for me, it was like, yo, like this might be for real, for real. Because when I was young in 96, even my parents said, oh, Bill Clinton, because he pretended to be black. He played the saxophone and all that weird shit, right? So my parents felt like Bill Clinton might be the closest thing to a black president that black people were ever going to have. And that's just in the globe. Okay, not just here in America, because trust and believe Africans do care about the American presidential elections, right? So then Barack Obama showed up. Now, okay, he's biracial, but it's like, yo, this might be the closest thing for real, that you will have to a black president. And we're all so brainwashed. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want to hear anything else, right? And I think he's going to be like number 45. MLK died when he was 45 years old, right? So you're thinking like, okay, this might be the closest thing. So yeah, let's do it. Anybody says anything against Obama, I hate your guts. Don't talk to me. You're racist. You're an idiot, right? But one day I got older and I said, it is not that easy and it's not that cheap to run for US Senate. So, how is it possible that a man who went to Harvard Law School, okay, then he interned where Michelle Obama was working? Nobody gave you a job. You were just an intern. So, you never had a real job. Barack Obama never actually practiced law, you guys. He never practiced law. He was an intern where his wife was working. Okay, what happened after that? Oh, he becomes an activist. He's an activist for asbestos. Then he starts knocking on doors and stuff like that. Okay. So then how did you get the money to run for the US Senate, y'all? It takes like 10, $20 million to run for the US Senate. How does an activist have this kind of money? Where did you get the money from? But when you're young, you don't ask yourself these questions. But you get older, you start asking yourself these questions. How does a community activist run into 10, 20 million, $30 million to freaking run for the US Senate? And he was only there for like a year, like for like two years or so. Next thing you know, he running for president. It's giving JD Vance also, right? But JD Vance, we know he got his money from Peter Thiel, right? So we know where his money come from. His money come from Palantir. So we know they want to have surveillance of the people over here. But with Barack Obama, we never question, where does a community activist get enough money to run for US Senate? It is not cheap. It's not cheap. It's so, even running for state senate is so expensive. Where did you get 10, 20 million as a community activist? You never practice law. So where'd the money come from? But we didn't ask no questions. Then this man goes up there. We saw what he didn't do. He was there for 8 years. Excuses. Oh, I can't. What do you mean you can't? Right? What do you mean you can't? And that's the thing about Trump, y'all. You don't have to like Trump. Who gives a fuck? But my thing about Trump, like even when it came to the so-called Muslim ban, Trump did not give up on his Muslim ban until he had a version of it that was approved by the Supreme Court. And I'm like, yo, I completely forgot that a president could actually do executive orders, right? But I'm like, did Obama ever try to even do an executive order? Did he even really try to even legalize at a federal level marijuana? At least, right? Legalize marijuana. If you don't want to do just a thing just for black people, fine. But we know everybody here smokes weed. I don't smoke weed, but you know what I'm saying? But most people, white, black, whatever, people smoke weed. So at least you can legalize marijuana and then you can expunge the records of anybody who was locked up for smoking the weed. So that way they can get a new start on life, right? Because that's a big fucking deal. No, he didn't do shit. He didn't do shit, right? And I'm like, oh shit. But the older I get, I'm understanding now that when you run for office, right, you owe everything to your donors. Whether you're running for mayor, you're running for state senator, you're running for US senator, right? You run for US president. You owe everything to your donors because they gave you the money to run. You get me, right? So when it comes to Brian Johnson as well, people never question, myself included, where did he get the money to run for mayor? You see, and I'm like, I'm willing to bet the little bit of money that I have, right? That the real estate where all these black people live in Chicago, I'm willing to bet that if you were to go appraise that land is so expensive now. I am willing to bet that the land where predominantly black people live, black American people live, I am willing to bet that that land has accrued so much value. And they need to get these black people off the land. They need to get them off the land. You know, one thing they're never gonna make more of is the land. It's the land, right? And we have seen this. So if you live here in the DC area, you've seen this. So we've seen it so many times. Georgetown, Silver Spring. We've seen it so much all over the DC area, right? But I'm like, that land where these black people live, these black neighborhoods where these black people live, I bet a pretty penny it is worth so much money, right? So they go and go find a black man who used to be an activist, who was a school teacher, who's married to a black woman, regurgitate the same old blackety black shit we've heard 100,000 times, right? And the black people blindly go and vote for this man. But Mayor Johnson, this is a black man. All he does is fight for illegal immigration. He has put the city of Chicago into so much debt, billions and billions of dollars of debt, right? He was trying to sign this horrible loan, a payday loan for the city of Chicago so that the city would not lose its bond rating. People told him no. But right now he's strapped for cash. When he ran for mayor, he told the black people that he was not going to raise property taxes. What is he doing now? He is raising property taxes. You understand? And he's raising property taxes in the middle of winter time. And with this inflation, where gas prices are high, it costs a lot of money now to warm up your house. And you know, you do not pay your property taxes, the city will put a lien against your house. You don't pay that thing off, there's a lien against your house. They can come and take your house. They can come and take your house. Emma, and every time they have an evil plan for black people, they always put a black person in charge because they know as soon as you see a black face, you're going to feel so much at ease. You're going to put your guards down. You're going to go to sleep, right? And by the time you wake up, oh, you're done. You are completely done, right? So now let's get back to this NFL situation here, right? For me personally, I'm not going to say I take offense to like the NFL thing because it's not like it's offensive per se, but I feel like I feel like I've been served. Like notice, like I'm like it's like somebody telling me we're here now. This is our season, right? Like we're like the Democratic Party is going to, cater to us, right? Liberals are going to kiss our asses because they have the numbers. Kevin is here to tell you that. I've always said, I said Latinos have the numbers. Latinos have the numbers. They right now they sit at about 80 million. It's 80 million Latinos in this country, too. 46 million black people, right? And 10 years from now, 15 years from now, even 20 years from now, where do you think our population is going to be at? Like 100 million, right? Right now, you have 36,200,000 Latinos that are registered to vote, right? Compared to 34 million plus black people who are registered to vote. So Latinos are bigger numbers, right? Yes, Latinos are bigger numbers, and you have more Latinos that are registered to vote. Now, the campaign, the whole presidential election, too, right? Black women voted at 92% for Kamala Harris. The lady still lost, right? Now, the vast majority of black people did not vote for Trump, and he won regardless. Now, you go to New York City. New York City, what's his name? Eric Adams, who's African American, he didn't even make it far, even though he did a pretty good job. Hey, Lacey, he did a pretty good job. And when you look at Mayor Adams, the way he ran New York City, right? The vast majority of people who criticize Mayor Adams are immigrants. Some are black immigrants too, but they're just agents of chaos, right? But he ran the city pretty well. Mayor Eric Adams was African American. He did about like 20, 30 years in NYPD, right? So he served the city. So he knows the city very well. He was law enforcement for a very long time, right? When he left, when he left City Hall, he left a surplus. And they don't even give him credit for that. And I remember there was a day when I saw a picture of Zoran Mandani with the son of George Soros. And I'm like, why would this? Because George Soros, he's Jewish, right? He's Ashkenazi Jew from Poland or something like that. But I'm like, why would an Ashkenazi Jew support a Muslim to run for mayor of New York City? And also, he's a socialist. George Soros is a huge capitalist. He almost bankrupted the Bank of England. But I'm like, ha 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 ha. It makes sense now, right? Because they also have a plan for illegal immigration, right? And you see with Zoran too, Zoran winning New York City. First of all, the way they were able to create so much legal warfare against Eric Adams was really concerning. Number two, the way they were able to weaponize the media and make sure that nobody saw anything good that came out of Eric Adams being the mayor of New York City, because he did a lot of good things. He did many things right. Okay, he did a lot of things right, but it's like, yeah, it's completely not talked about. Nobody's acknowledging it, right? No one is acknowledging that this black man, this black American man, did a pretty freaking job. He had even better numbers when it comes to like arresting people, frisk and stop, whatever. Mayor Adams had way better number than Mayor Rudy. Okay. And even the one that came before, the one that tried to offer pizzas, I forgot his name, the other Latino, de Blasio, right? He also did a better job than de Blasio, but it completely goes unnoticed, right? People talk a lot about the crime in New York City, which honestly had nothing to do with him, because a lot of these people, it was the laws of like just release people without bond. And number two, it was illegal immigration. And there's nothing he could do because that's at the state level, right? The New York City has been run by Italians, right? The vast majority of New York mayors are Italians, right? But I'm saying Mayor Adams got a lot of flack, even though I think he did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job, right? But he was not even able to raise money. Like, it was really bad for the man. Mandani comes out of nowhere and he does really well. Why? Because he had the money of Soros, right? He had the talk, he had the verbiage, he had the grift, right? Of the socialist. He talked a lot like, oh, I'm gonna tax the rich. The same old blue blah that people love to hear and they get so excited for. But behind the scenes, though, he's a puppet for George Soros. He is a puppet for the Soros family. And a lot of the things he's promising is the everyday people of New York City who are going to pay for that, right? But even when he took the stuff, when he became the mayor of New York, you see, he didn't even say thank you to black people. He's all whatever. But my point is, I say all this to say we are moving into an era where you're going to see with the Democratic Party, right, that there's going to be, I want to say, a sheer disregard for Black America, pretty much, right? And there's going to be a lot of coddling, a lot of love, a lot of entitlement, a lot of, I don't know, yeah, enablement, right? When it comes to Latinos, right? Because it's really crazy to me that we're sitting here and we are seeing people tell Latinos, oh, it's okay for you to come here legally. It's okay for you to break the law. You're doing nothing wrong. You belong. I even saw a Chinese man from Texas. He's from the house in Texas. And he was saying that, oh, if you come to America, as long as you are in America and you love America, that makes you an American. And I'm like, what are we doing? Right? And I'm like, this is erasure. This is erasure, right? This is erasure because now they're like, hey, we don't really need you anymore. We don't really need you anymore. And when you think for a second of all the poison, like all the divisive, sorry, y'all. When you think for a second of all the divisive poison that the Democratic Party has poured into Black America, for example, setting the Black woman against the Black man, right? Talking about, oh, you don't need to have a man, have a job, or have welfare. Like, I mean, it's so much bullshit because it was always about mind control. It was always about getting the vote. Even the abortion talk, right? Pushing a lot of abortion on black people. Meanwhile, we know Latinas, once they start getting pregnant at 16, they're going to keep all their babies. They're going to keep all their children, which is why they have such a high population, right? Because it's not a pro abortion people. It's not a pro abortion people. And to the Latinos, the Democratic Party and liberals have not done to Latinos what they've done to Black America. Do you come along and see a Latina woman be mad at a Latino man? Do you see a Latino man come on social media and do a whole podcast criticizing Latina women? No, absolutely not. They're not feminists over there. They're very traditional. The men are not being put against the woman not being put against the men, right? Which is what I'm saying. this is what the Democratic Party has done to black people here, right? Divide an entire community for the sake of harnessing votes so that they could keep the power. And now that today there's a new class of people that they can take advantage of because they have the numbers, they have a lot of numbers. Oh, well, we don't need you anymore, right? We do not need you anymore. And what, hey, Tone, and now what we're looking for are the Latinos. And what you're going to see, they're going to bend over backwards to please the Latinos because this is what they want. This is their new class. Like, this is their new pool of votes. Like, this is where they're going now to get the votes. And it's really, really sad. It's really sad. And this is what I've always said. People got to start preaching forgiveness because black women, black men, people got to forgive each other and realize that you need to have a strong community. And like the man and the woman both have to learn to love independent each other, not a political party. But I'm like, this is what this means, right? This is what this means. Even for there's one part when he starts off his Super Bowl performance, right? And you see all these people in the sugarcane field and they're cutting out the sugarcane. I'm like, it was not light skinned Latinos that were cutting out. Okay, don't write that, right? It was not light skinned Latinos that were in the sugarcane fields, right? Cutting sugarcane. These were black people. People, it was African slaves. They were dark skinned people. Okay, don't sit here and spread lies about history in Puerto Rico. Okay, the Taino, those native Indians, right? They didn't last. They were not that strong. They were not that resilient. Sugarcane work is extreme hard work. It's extreme hard work. It's these West African slaves that were sold to Puerto Rico from Ghana, Nigeria, Benin. These were the people that did the sugarcane. Okay, it was not light skinned or white skinned Latinos. Let's not do this. Okay? Let's not do this. Even the whole, I don't know, like even the whole visuals of showing Latinos with their straw hats cutting sugar canes. It's kind of given like, oh, we worked hard and we're hard workers. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Right? Because I'm like, okay, what if we did a whole Super Bowl and then we have black people showing black people harvesting cotton in the cotton fields, right? It's a little weird. It's a little weird. But I do exactly. I'm like, don't do that, Benito. Don't do that, Bad Bunny. I didn't like that because the sugar cane was picked by African slaves, dark skinned African slaves, in there getting bit up by these black mambas, these deranged snakes and stuff like that. Don't have people believe that, oh, white skinned Latinos, curly hair Latinos, baby hair Latinos were out here doing God knows what. No. Okay, okay, Tom, we get it. Thank you, Babo. Okay, right? Like, no, don't do that. Okay, do not do that. Do not do that. And to me, that is extremely problematic. That is so problematic. But I'm like, you see, though, none of this would have happened also if it was not for Colin Kaepernick. Okay. None of this would have happened if it was not for Colin Kaepernick. Because one thing I have noticed in America, once black people start complaining, once black people start advocating for their rights or for whatever, other people, they sit back, they watch black people get cussed out, beat up, locked up, lynched, attacked by dogs. They sit in the cut because nobody offers help. Because in case it doesn't work out, right? Okay. Oh, yes. I'm like, in case it doesn't work out, they don't want to feel the wrath of white people. Do you get me, right? So it's like, it's everybody. I think most of the time when black people complain about something, I think most minorities in America agree, like, yeah, that stuff needed to be said. That needed to be said. It needed to be talked about because it's problematic. But the problem is, in case the black people are not successful, we don't want the whites to know that we agreed with how they felt, right? So everybody just sits back and say, well, let the blacks do it. If they're successful, we're all going to come about and say, oh, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? Right? If the blacks are not successful, we'll just quietly continue our lives and just pretend to be okay with being oppressed. You understand what I'm trying to say? Hopefully you get me, right? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you get me, right? So it's like people know what you're saying, you ain't wrong. You're right. But in case you're not successful at getting what we need, I just can't endorse you publicly, right? But if you are successful, everybody shows up with the what about is what about me? What about me? What about me? What about me? You know, like the whole LGBTQ movement, the whole rainbow movement just piggybacked on Black American people, right? The feminist movement, the liberation of white women, the sexual liberation of white women being able to work these corporate jobs and making even more money than white men. It's always them piggybacking on the struggles of Black people, right? They're not gonna do the fighting because they don't want to get beat up. They don't want to be punished. Like, I'm about to beat my ass up. Let the Blacks do it. Let them get their ass kicked because you know they're gonna do it. They gonna do it. And once they're successful, right, then we'll start saying, okay, but what about me? What about me? You know what I'm saying? Me, I've always taken offense to like the homosexual stuff because to me it always gave across like they were kind of comparing anal sex to being Black. And I'm like, it's not the same thing. Like, it really is not. I get what you're trying to say, but being gay is not the same thing as being Black. You understand, right? The issue with you being gay is that you're having anal sex. The issue with me being Black is that I was born Black. Not trying to be offensive, but when you're Black, you can't hide it. You get me, right? A Black person cannot hide. I mean, some people are really, really fair. They could pass if they wanted to, but a lot of Black people can't pass, right? The vast majority of Black people cannot pass. Like, even if you could bleach your skin, what about your hair? If you could bleach your skin and then you could like straighten your hair, okay, but what about your nose? What about your lips? What about your muscle mass, right? It's like, it's a lot of things that you can't hide. But we know as long as human beings have existed, homosexuals have always existed, right? You can hide being gay. Many white people are gay. Many white people have been gay, like even before Jesus. But people don't have to know because you can be white and hide your sexuality and you still benefit from being part of the dominant group. A lot of white men are gay, even to this day. There are a lot of Republicans that are gay. There are a lot of conservatives who are gay. There are a lot of gay men in the White House, right? But you will never know. It's like, so they're still able to succeed in this white patriarchy. They are still able to ascend to positions of power, affluence, and influence, right? Because they can hide it. You cannot hide being Black. You can't hide it. So I've always felt like it was extremely insulting for white people to believe that because they're homosexuals, they have suffered through life just as the way Black people have suffered. No, what you go through as a white homosexual when you get exposed is actually an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience, right? It's not oppression, it's an inconvenience because people shame you for your sexuality. Okay, you're white, they wish you had a wife, and they wish you could have more white children. That's it, but you still belong to the white family, right? If you say tomorrow, oh, I don't want to be gay no more, I'm gonna get married, then they'll okay, cool. Life goes on because you're white. You are part of that family. You will always be part of that family. You don't stop being a white person, right? You don't stop being a white person because of your sexual orientation. Black people never even have this luxury of access like that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go be around the white people and I'm gonna succeed like white people and I'm gonna live near white people. Like, no, when you're Black, it's worse. You're white. You're just a white person who's gay, and because of that, they look down on you. It's an inconvenience, but it's not systemic oppression. Because if you really had to, you would hide it like countless of white men have done throughout human history. They've hid the fact that they were homosexuals and they had great lives, great success, lots of notoriety, lots of money, you name it. We did not, right? Or just like when white women want to carry out here and make you believe that they were oppressed. Oppressed how? It's so crazy to me. Oppressed how? How are you oppressed? You are white. You are part of the white family. Everything white men have ever done was to always put you on a pedestal. How have you been oppressed? You didn't want to have your kids, they found a way to create abortion. You didn't want to breastfeed your babies, they forced Black women to breastfeed for you. You didn't want to cook, they forced white women, Black women to cook for you. They want to take care of your house, they forced Black women to take care of you. It's like oppressed how? Oppressed how? Every time I hear these white girls telling me about the patriarchy that's oppressed, I'm like, your patriarchy has oppressed you? Are you kidding me? Right? Your patriarchy went out of their way to oppress everybody, to put you on a pedestal. Show me a single movie or cartoon or you name it where white men have not called you the most beautiful, the fairest of them all. Even when it's you do everything idiotic, they still call you beautiful. I mean, whatever, right? You oppressed how? How are you oppressed? How are you oppressed? They went out of their way to call everybody ugly. Make movies where they depict everybody else as ugly, right? They even went out their ways to cast other women from other ethnic groups that were bigger than you, fatter than you, shorter than you. Everything to always make you look like the most beautiful. The Golden Gates, the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, the Grammys, whatever's out there, right? How like it took centuries for them to even allow any black girl to compete against you. Best winning, best supporting actress, best actress in a movie, you name it. Any role that was meant for white women, white men have gone above and beyond to gatekeep that shit for as long as they could until they couldn't do it no more. Right? Most supermodels, white, anything that involves beauty, they've made you the main thing. They even had Cleopatra as a white woman, and we know that's a fucking lie, right? So I'm like, how exactly were you fucking oppressed, sis? Please, let's stop the bullshit. Okay? Stop the bullshit. Stop the bullshit. Yeah, and that sure, that could have happened. You know what I'm saying? That could have happened. It's very possible that they had concentration camps for gays. It's very possible, right? It's very possible. But does that mean that you can hide being gay? No, you can hide it. You really think being white and gay is comparable to being black? It just shows your privilege, right? You talk about concentration camps for gays. Could you talk about slave ships for black people? Plantations for black people? Chains for black people? Like lynching for black people? Laws that tell you you're not allowed to read or you'll get killed. Let's not do this, right? Nobody is saying bad things didn't happen to folks for being gay, but the extent to which it happened for white gays, it's not as dehumanizing as black people. Even to this day, white gays are more successful than black gays. What are we talking about? Right? White, like the vast majority of homosexuals who are multimillionaires are white. They ain't black. Andy Cohen, white. What's his name? What's Anderson Cooper, white? I mean, it's like Peter Thiel, he gay, he white, he a billionaire, right? How many black homosexuals are billionaires? Like, make it make sense though, right? Because at the end of the day, you're still a white fucking person. What do you not fucking get? What, like, you really want to be white and gay and convince yourself that you understand the suffering of an African slave? Like, seriously, like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody is saying that white gays were never tortured, but they were not tortured to the extent that black people were tortured. Okay, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Even the Holocaust, it lasted for 6 years. Do you understand that in America, slavery lasted for 200 years? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, white people? What the fuck is wrong with you? You're going to compare 6 years of suffering to 200 years of suffering? And today, where are the Jews today? The Jews are some of the richest people in the world. The Jews control the White House. They control Congress. They control Wall Street. 6 years of suffering, they get to own America. Black Americans have suffered for 400 years. They're still at the bottom. Does your head actually work? Does your head actually work? Most Ivies are full of Jews, and many of these Jewish kids don't even deserve to be there, but they're there because their people have money. Are you sane? Are you truly sane? Do you know how many people died, not just during the slave trade, but even during slavery and after slavery? Right? And when we tell you people that you're a bunch of white supremacists, you think it's a fucking joke. Because I think to a lot of you white people, the life of one white person equals the life of a million black people. So maybe that's why you think 6 years of Holocaust is comparable to 400 years of pure torture. Do you truly know American history? Do you know what black Americans have to endure in this country? Right? 6 years was the Holocaust. To this day, black Americans are still being tortured. I don't care what the fuck you are, but you're definitely stupid. Right? So many Jews came from Germany and like in the 40s and the 50s. Today, their children, their grandchildren, they all went to Ivy Leagues. They all worked for Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, you name it. Black Americans have been here before 1619 and they can barely even get into a regular university. What are we talking about? The world has not done enough for the Jews, for the Holocaust that happened in Germany. The Holocaust happened in Germany. We're talking about America, we're talking about Germany. For something that happened in Germany, today, Jews are living in America. They live better than even white Americans. They surpass everybody. You can't even criticize these people. And yet the Holocaust happened in Germany. Like, what the fuck? How the fuck is that hard to get? How's that hard for you to understand? Even Jewish people, these Ashkenazi Jews, they left Germany oppressed. They came to America and they started oppressing Black Americans, controlling their music, controlling their masters, controlling their image. You think all this gangster image, this fuckery image, this nigger image, you think that's a Black American creation? That is an Ashkenazi Jew creation. Anything that pertains, the poor representation, delinquent, niggerish representation of Black Americans is funded by Ashkenazi Jews. They own all the masters. If you're a black American and you own your masters or you own the Beatles master, we saw what they did to Michael Jackson. We saw what Tony Motola, a Jew, did to Prince, did to Michael Jackson. We saw what what's his name, Clive Davis, a Jew, did to Whitney Houston. Okay, let's not go there. Lucian Grange and Diddy. Is there one Black American in music who has the right to even own his music? No, you have to have a Jewish handler. How is that even okay? How is that okay? The Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust. We are in America, and one of the greatest acts against humanity was the slave trade. It was the slavery of Black people on this land. What are we talking about? What are we truly talking about? Always the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust. No, slavery, slavery, slavery. And life after slavery and life during Jim Crow. We're like 400 years of treating American citizens who have a different complexion like they're fucking illegal immigrants. That is fucking insane. That is truly insane. It's insane. And that's why I'm saying that is my concern with this whole Latino shit. Because that's what it's going to turn into. And I don't like how people are so dismissive of that, because you're talking about millions of people who were slaughtered, millions of American people who had their rights denied, millions of Black American children who were not allowed to go to school. They were not allowed to read, or they would get murdered, and nobody wants to talk about that. And today, all you hear, illegals are not illegals. No, they are illegal. Because Black Americans have been citizens since the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. And to this day, so many things they do, they are treated as if they're breaking the law. And that is ridiculous. And people who cross the borders, their people have never fought a single war. The American Revolution War, the Civil War, you name it, like whatever war happened, the Alamo, right? But Black Americans have fought next to every white American for every war that involved this nation, right? And then today we're sitting here and people are being told, oh, if you come here illegally, you did nothing wrong. Oh, if you come here illegally and you love America, that automatically makes you a U.S. citizen. Like, what? Hold up, wait a minute, what? That is fucking crazy. That is fucking crazy. And that's a big issue for me. Okay? What does this man say? Hold on, what'd you say? Well, I guess Kevin dealt with you. So whatever. What does the people talk about? Child, please, right? So that's the thing. That is really the thing here. And I'm like, that to me is really insane. And I am saying Black people need to wake the fuck up. The party is fucking over. The party is fucking over. And you have to see the writing is on the wall. The writing is seriously on the wall. Because the way these white liberals are bending over backwards for illegal immigrants, Marlene, I don't like it. Because I'm like, where was all this love? Where was all this commitment when Black American fathers were getting locked up by the crime bill brought to you by Joe Biden, right? For 5 grams of crack, 5 grams of weed, 5 grams of whatever, right? Where were all these white people to say, no, yes, this man made a mistake, but his children still need him, right? Today, if one Latino boy is separated from his dad, you're not going to stop hearing anything about that, right? Who are all these people? Jimmy, nice to meet you, but I ain't got time for you. Okay, right? Makes sense. No, we'll talk about that later, right? But my thing is, right? That's a big thing for me. Because I'm like, where were all these people? Where were all these people? Like, Black Americans are your fellow citizens. They're not second class citizens and they're not illegal immigrants, right? When all the, do you guys know how many Black men were locked up behind this crime bill? That's why I have a whole video to make about Don't Limit. I just haven't had the time yet, right? But I'm like, oh crap. Do you know how many? Oh crap. Do you know how many Black people were locked up behind this thing? You guys, I made a big mistake. Oh crap. Give me a second, you guys. Yo,